Welcome to the Industry Insider video series presented by Music Canada and Connect Music Licensing. I'm Domanique Grant and I am your host, and I am thrilled to share my interview with Allan Reid, the president and CEO of the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, the not-for-profit organization for the JUNO Awards, MusiCounts, and the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Now, most of you are aware that today artists are tasked with having to juggle creating while also having to juggle the complex world of the business behind their careers. Whether it be a goal of writing their first gold hit, signing to their first major label, attaining management, or winning that first JUNO Award. Allan Reid is more than familiar with juggling multiple hats. With over 30 years of experience in the music industry, Allan has worked for major and independent labels. He's also done A&R and artist management before landing his current role. I'm really excited to invite you into our one-on-one conversation about how we can navigate the industry, how we can pivot, and how we can ensure that we know when to take that next big step. Stay tuned. Our full interview is coming up next. How are you doing during this unique character building
Crazy times. Yeah, it's been obviously a pretty challenging time for everybody here at CARAS, and obviously through our entire industry. You know, not in our 49-year history we've had to cancel the JUNOs before. And this year, being out in Saskatoon, it was pretty devastating to not have to do the JUNOs, but we made good not too long ago, awarding all the 42 winners their JUNOs back in late June. So glad we were able to get that done and recognize all the incredible artists this year.
I'm actually really curious to see what music comes out of, this time, because artists are obviously in a very unique position that they've never been in before. So I think it is going to be really interesting to see where things go moving forward. One of the questions that we actually had come in, so we had a bunch from different artists, was, do I need to learn the business, and why is it important that I do so even when starting out?
Yeah, I used to give artists, when I was signing them back at Universal and A&M and Polygram, there was a book called All You Need to Know About the Music Business by a lawyer named Donald Passman. And I would give this book out to artists all the time and say, get to know the business, understand the business. It is the music business, and it is a business. And you've got to go into this realizing that, especially artists, entrepreneurs, that you're in charge of your destiny. And the more that you can educate yourself, the better you will be in dealing with what is really a very complicated business. It may look sort of simple from the outside, but when you delve into the many layers of how this business actually works, it's extremely complicated. And the more that you can understand as a young artist coming into it, the better you'll be able to negotiate deals, work with people, and one, share your vision, but then also have to channel your vision through the business and how it can then be exploited properly.
How important is it for artist entrepreneurs to build a team, and when should they begin? Well,
I used to always say to artists, as soon as the creativity is outweighed by the business, if you're not making music, because that is as the artist, that's your sole job. You do that. You're in charge of being the creator. The manager's not doing that. The publicist isn't doing it. Everybody's sort of working off of what you create. And I think, artists who are artist entrepreneurs have to look in the mirror at some point and go, okay, when do I bring a new team member in? When do I sort of relinquish some of this control to other people who are going to work on their behalf? And that's the other thing too, they have to realize it's still their business. When you're the artist entrepreneur, it is your music, it's your intellectual property that you're bringing people in to help you bring greater exposure to and drive more revenue. So I think, it's different for everybody. It depends what you want from your career. There's no sort of one answer, but I would always go back to, if you find yourself being overwhelmed by the business aspects of things, and that's taking time away from your creativity to create new music, that's the time to start looking to expand. And sort of grow your overall team.
In growing your overall team, do you have any tips for artists who are looking for the right manager right now? Because that is one of the most common questions that we get. Finding a manager, knowing when to sign with a manager, knowing if it's the right manager. And I know that you've played so many different hats and you have so much experience, in that realm. I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I was a manager myself for a while after I left Maple Music and went on my own and managed some producers and some artists. It's the most important relationship an artist will share. You know, the manager is the person who will connect every sort of business opportunity back to that artist. So choosing a manager is one of the most important decisions anybody can make. They can make or break your career. They're incredibly important. But it so depends on what the artist is looking for from their career. I think, again, you got to take a long, hard look at yourself and go, okay, do I want to be Shawn Mendes? Do I want to have a global superstar career? Or am I more apt to being a local artist? And am I a genre-specific artist that may not have that sort of opportunity to sort of have global success? So you need to figure out what it is you want first and foremost, and then try to find the right artist for what you do. And in saying that, artists are you know, the manager's role for an artist is to help open doors and to connect them to people, but most importantly, to do your business for you. So it's tough. It's tough to find the right thing. I think, you know, you've got to trust your gut. There's also got to be a lot of trust with that manager. This is someone who truly needs to be your partner, because as an artist, you're going to have days when things are down, you don't believe in yourself, and that's when the manager is there to help pick you up, keep you focused, and be your #1 champion. Because no question, there will be choppy waters somewhere along your career, and you want to know that your manager's rock solid, is going to stand by you and represent your interests to everybody else when things maybe aren't going as well as everybody hoped they might be. That's where the manager really, really shows their value.
A really juicy question that we've got from a couple of people is, based on your experience, what are common characteristics that you see in JUNO nominees, and what sets them apart?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know if there is a central similarity amongst, because again, we're talking about 42 categories, all kinds of different genres of music. But I think if I were to pick anything, it would just be a desire to be great at your craft. I think that, you know, as artists, they're there creating music. And, you know, some are more business-minded than others, but I think the bottom line is none of this happens without great music and great songs, great musicianship, a great voice. I think, you know, when I look at artists who become JUNO nominees, and it's great, it's one of the things I, again, love to do when we get our sort of list of all the nominees every year. There's like 170 plus. I love diving into all this music and discovering new people and what their music's all about. So I think it's certainly a commitment to their craft. Of making great music, writing great songs is certainly what I think that's why they are, has risen to this level of becoming a nominee at the JUNOs. Their peers have said, you're in the top 5 in this country at this moment in time with this recording you've made. And that's a real honor to have your peer group recognize your work. So certainly that sort of desire to be great at your craft and to succeed. And I think if anything else, it's also to be seen, to be able to bring your music to people. Artists, you know, all have that same thing. They want to find fans. They want to find people who love what they love, who take some solace in the words that they write. So I think that's a common thing amongst every artist. They're looking to find that audience and grow that audience. And certainly, you know, those artists who come through the JUNOs are given that opportunity. They're sort of put on that pedestal when they win an award or become a nominee. You'll see it in every artist bio. You know, JUNO Award winner, JUNO nominee. It is this country's highest honor in music. And again, we're proud that artists feel that way and want to use that to help their careers.
I feel like that's going to resonate with quite a few people. And artists, if you are hearing this, the music is important. And that is a huge thing that's been mentioned, is a lot of people were messaging us and asking, you know, if I have all my business together, you know, if I dance, if I do all of these different things, obviously the package is important, but the music is key and is important. And I think it's really great that we're hearing that it still is a core part of the music making. And I know, Allan, like on my side as an artist, I know that is something that weighs artists down, is trying to juggle the business, trying to juggle creativity, trying to juggle being the full package. And I guess what you are saying is, yes, you could be the full package, but again, if your music isn't together, that's the core of what is common amongst a lot of, you know, JUNO nominees and award winners.
Yeah, it's all about the song. Let's, you know, it's this again, it's music business. If you don't have great music, if you don't have, and I always say a great song, not a good song, it's got to be a great song. Because look at how much music is released globally. We're now in a global music business. You carry around millions of access to, you know, tens of millions of songs on your phone. And you're competing now not just with the artists in your city, in your province, in your country. You're competing globally for people to discover your music. And so when you write a song, it can't just be good, it's got to be great. That's what's going to make it get recognized. And that always started for me, most importantly, with the actual song. And then it moved to the voice. And, you know, as an A&R guy, it always sort of struck me, you know, a lot of people can sing a song, but an artist who makes it their own and creates a unique moment and certainly have a unique sound to their voice really is the thing that sort of cuts through. And that was always sort of the second thing that I look for as an A&R guy, was first a great song, and then does that voice, does it appeal to me? Does it hit me in the soul? Do I believe every word that person is singing? Because those words need to resonate with me, and I need to believe what you're saying. And then came sort of the musicianship and the band and what was there to support all of that. Those sort of were always the core when I was looking. And then there was one final piece, and that was that it quality. And I can't tell you what it is. It's just that thing that makes me want to admire an artist or let them into my life. I may be inspired by their words. I might like the sound of the beat they've sung over. There could be all these factors, but there's still something about the actual person, how they carry themselves, that make you want to be them or be with them or let them into your life. That is such an intangible. You can't go to school for it. It's something that you're just sort of born with and, you know, can sort of develop over time. But the it quality is probably the hardest thing to come by.
When I was a little kid, and Whitney Houston and Alanis Morissette were two of my favorite artists of all time. And I think Alanis Morissette was one of the first artists that I was introduced to that was her own person. She had her own sound. She created this thing that really just wanted you to be a part of the culture that she created. And I remember being, you know, an 8-year-old just in my room, you know, screaming Alanis Morissette songs and not caring about anything except for the fact that I felt like I was invited into the experiences that she created. So with that said, what are common mistakes in this process that artists make that maybe you've noticed that they can pay attention to now to help move them forward and learn a little bit quicker?
Don't always believe what your mom and dad say about your music. You know, get proper criticism. I say it jokingly, but you know, it's funny. You know, expand your group for collective criticism, because through that your music will get better. Seek people out who will give you honest advice about your music. Again, whether that's at a record company, a manager, a publisher, people who are going to challenge you to up your game. It's easy to get a pat in the back from people and say, oh, you're great, you're wonderful, your songs are great. Seek the people out who challenge you more. They will make you better. And that is something, again, I think, you know, I've seen time and time again with artists that it's tough taking criticism. It's tough letting people into your world when you make music, because it's your heart hearing a recording and you put it out to the world and then you get judged on it. So it's a difficult process to take that criticism, but I think it's something that all artists who seek it out and find people they trust and who can be honest with them is a really, really important part of that sort of artist development arc you'll go through.
Part of, you know, becoming a really great artist is taking criticism better. It's getting better at differentiating and as you spoke about earlier, kind of trusting your instincts and knowing who to listen to and who should be in your circle. But I do still feel like a lot of artists struggle with that. They struggle with getting comfortable with accepting feedback, and they also sometimes struggle with pushing themselves to be even better. And I think a part of your journey and what I've read is that at a lot of different stages, there were roles that, as you had mentioned, you didn't necessarily see yourselves in, but you rose to the occasion. Can you just speak to how you got better at taking criticism, and if you have any tips or recommendations for artists in getting better with that?
It's not an easy thing to take criticism. I think that, certainly when I have it and have received it, it really makes me reflect. And I think that, part of that is always trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes and try to understand how would they see this situation, this reaction, and how would they react to it. So removing yourself from yourself at times is one of the hardest things to do, but seeing yourself as others see you is a really, I think, important reflective tool that can help understand what that criticism actually means.
So what is the Allan Slate JUNO Masterclass, and what were some of the driving factors behind creating it?
Well, the Allan Slate JUNO Masterclass started 5 years ago, and it is an artist development program. It's not a talent contest, and it is there to try to help sort of connect artists with the music industry and educate them about how the business works. It started 5 years ago. We noticed, we do an amazing job with MusiCounts, which is our music education charity that puts instruments into schools and music programs across Canada. And we've been doing that for years and helping sort of support music education. But we realized that coming to the JUNOs, we didn't really engage with artists until they became a nominee. And we sort of noticed there was a gap from MusiCounts to the JUNOs. And we felt there could be an opportunity, a good opportunity, to help artists get to the JUNO stage and provide them an opportunity to learn more about the business. So through Gary Slate and the Slate Music team, they helped basically bring this program to life for us, which has been absolutely amazing. We partnered with Canada's Music Incubator, and they have customized a program for each artist that comes into the masterclass. It is a very intensive sort of 1 week in Toronto, and then also a chance to go to the JUNO Awards. But the week they spend here in Toronto is pretty intensive. It is learning all about the music business, whether that is, songwriting or performance coaching, or it's into the actual business of things, royalty collections, where does your revenue streams come from, how to budget a tour properly. It really depends on what the artist needs to learn and wants to learn. Each person gets a sort of customized program built for them. But it's becoming a very, very important part of our 4 pillars. We educate through MusiCounts, we develop through the Allan Slate JUNO Masterclass, we celebrate the JUNO Awards, and we honor in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. We like to say we're with artists from birth to myth. We give them their first instrument at MusiCounts, and we see them through their whole journey, hopefully into the Hall of Fame. You
have gotten to experience a lot of work with different artists. You've gotten to experience the impact of, the Allan Slate JUNO Masterclass. Are there any experiences throughout your journey so far that are really memorable, that have really reminded you of why you do the work that you do, tied to the Allan Slate JUNO Masterclass?
The goal there, again, is to help artists get to the JUNO stage and hopefully one day become a JUNO nominee. And we were actually really fortunate. The very first year that we ran the program, there was a duo out of Newfoundland called the Fortunate Ones that ended up coming to the program and actually getting nominated for a JUNO that very first year. So we felt really great about the sort of launch of the program. But it doesn't always happen that quick. And we, this year, had a really great experience with a band called Neon Dreams. They were in the program back in 2017, and they had a big hit called Marching Bands. It was actually featuring Cardinal Official on it. And the masterclass they found us at that perfect right moment in their career where things were starting to take off, but they kind of plateaued. And the masterclass just sort of connected them with a number of people in the industry, taught them a lot about how the music business works, and they took those tools and soldiered on. And shortly thereafter, they signed a deal with Warner Music. They got a publishing deal. They, had been touring nonstop all over North America, which was fantastic. But this year they were nominated for Breakthrough Group of the Year, and they actually ended up winning. So for us, inside this team, it felt great for the CARAS team to sort of help an artist on that journey and see them get recognized by their peers, which was fantastic. And then the year before, actually, was another fantastic one, was Havaya Mighty.
Yes.
Havaya had come through the program, and she's just an incredible young artist, and I've got to say, of anybody who's come through our program who walked in with a mission, had her notebook ready to go, she came to work, she came to learn. And I say it to every artist who goes through Masterclass, you will only get out of it what you put into it. And Havaya put it all in. She soaked it up. She took every opportunity to learn and connect with people. And to see her win the Polaris Prize last year was, again, just such an amazing sort of moment for her and her career, but everybody here felt great about us having a little bit of help along the way that we could provide to her.
And I know Havaya, so I know actually how genuine and humble she is and how hard she works. So it's just great to hear you say that. And you mentioned something really important, and that is showing up. And it's not just enough to get opportunities and to walk into spaces and to walk into rooms. But I think a huge part of that is the value in showing up. It's being more than the expectations or, and what other people assume that you should be, and making that commitment to your career. And I think that you have done that. I think that you've done that with a lot of emerging artists. I think that you've been able to do that throughout your career with artists that are, at the top of the industry in Canada. And I think that a really incredible initiative that started that process for a lot of young artists who are kind of emerging is MusiCounts. I would love it if you could talk about why MusiCounts was created, what MusiCounts is, and why service and being of service is a really important element that every artist and every artist entrepreneur should be incorporating into the work that they do.
Well, thanks. MusiCounts is an incredibly important part of what we do here, and you just said, Dom, like, giving back is something that I think every artist should aspire to do sometime in their career. If you are given a platform, if you are not even if you're famous, but you're given a platform and you find an audience, to use your voice to do good, I think is really, really important. And it's got to be genuine to the artist. It's got to be something you're passionate about. But music education is something that the CARAS and our board and our members are extremely passionate about. We want to make sure that music education lives in schools, that kids get a chance to pick up an instrument and learn how to play and try. And whether that's a saxophone or a recorder or making beats, it doesn't matter. We just want young people to have that opportunity to sort of appreciate what music is and how it's created. Because once you have that in your life, it's with you for life. You will always be someone who loves music, hopefully. And whether you continue that on to becoming a professional musician or a JUNO Award winner, if it happens, great. But our belief is that music actually will make you a better human being in the long run. You look at excuse me, a lot of successful people in life, and they'll credit music as being something that taught them teamwork and discipline. It's proven it helps you with things like math and other cognitive skills. So there's incredible benefits to music education for kids that will last a lifetime as well. So it's an incredibly rewarding organization to work with, to take artists into school music programs, into community programs, and show up with $10,000 worth of instruments and equipment to give these kids, and oftentimes sort of disadvantaged neighborhoods. And people who don't have the same opportunities that other people do. It's incredibly rewarding to do, and certainly it was, for when I had the privilege of running MusiCounts for 3 years, it's some of the most rewarding times I've ever had in the music business.
So I want to echo that. This whole topic makes me really emotional because I was definitely the kid who benefited from having instruments in schools, growing up in a family where we couldn't always afford that. And I literally remember getting my first cello and then a piano, which is what I kind of started learning to play when I was, I think, 7 years old. And
why this makes me emotional is because a lot of people don't understand how many young kids just need access. They just need access to instruments. They need access to systems that are going to allow them to participate regardless of their socioeconomic background. And being someone who struggled with math and knowing a lot of artists who actually turned to music, I just really want to say that it is incredible that you guys are doing this, because I don't know if I would be where I am today if I didn't have that investment through music instruments. And it really hits home, and it's really, really important that I think this was spoken about, because I think we take for granted the fact that we are traveling, or we were traveling the world, and we are doing the work that we do, but the simplicity of a kid in a neighborhood who might not ever believe that they can aspire to be anything, and then gets a free instrument and is told that, you know what, someone thinks about you and someone cares. And Oprah talks about this, where she talked about a Christmas that she had, where the difference, you know, in her life when she was living in the suburbs and her family didn't have a lot, was simply the fact that someone cared. So I just want to echo that, because it makes me really, really emotional. And again, the fact that CARAS has this as a key component of the work that you guys do is really incredible. So I'm just going to take my emotional hat and put it away for a second.
Well, I feel the same way, Dom. This is, you know, it's, as I said, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever had a chance to be involved with in my career. And, you know, nothing is like when you see kids getting these instruments and what it does for them, and what it does for, you know, self-esteem and things that, you know, sometimes you don't even really know about. You know, we had, you know, stories from multiple teachers just saying to give a child a new instrument versus the old beat-up one they've been playing that's been in the school for 40 years, the effect that can have on a child is incredible. And so it is really, really important work. And music so often, especially for young people, teens, can be such an incredible outlet. You know, growing up can be challenging. And I think music class is sort of the great equalizer in school as well. So yeah, I appreciate what you said. It's nice that you've had that experience in your own life. I certainly had it, and I think probably every artist entrepreneur that's watching this has probably gone through a very similar thing, where someone believed in them early on and helped them get access and gave them an instrument to encourage them.
What is one of the greatest lessons that you've learned that you would share with the next generation of artist entrepreneurs and with artists overall?
Wow, it's, I'll maybe go back to my father again, and these are all the sort of the cliche things you would always hear a father say to their young son growing up, you know, a job worth doing is a job worth doing right, and you know, do something you'll love, you'll never work a day in your life. Those are so true. They're cliches, but they're so true. I just, you know, again, I've been so fortunate to have a life that has been based around music and in the arts and working with artists. I'm not one myself. I was a frustrated artist growing up, but I have a huge love. And I think more than anything else, have this incredible appreciation for artists who can create something out of nothing. It's truly, music is magic and what it can do for people. I just, you know, probably more than anything else, just words of advice is really try to do something you love. You know, throw yourself into it. Go all the way. Do more than's required. You know, I always say to young people when I go to do talks at schools, you know, there's 60 people in a music business class. Are all 60 of those people going to get a job? Probably not. It's the one or two that are going to go that little extra mile and work that much harder. And it's the same in the artist world as well. You've got to work hard, really hard, to get your music out there, to be seen, to be heard. And as you become more successful, the work grows. That's where you build your team. But it doesn't get any easier. It's a tough business, but it is an incredibly rewarding business to be part of. So yeah, do something you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Is there anything that you can leave us with surrounding believing in yourself during moments when other people don't, surrounding believing in yourself when you've underestimated yourself, surrounding just constantly finding that motivation to believe that you are capable?
I'm a kid from Kelowna who, you know, had a high school education and loved music, and I worked hard, and you know, I don't know necessarily why this path found me. I found it. I think if anything, I was very fortunate, as I said earlier on, to have people who saw something in me that I didn't necessarily even saw myself. I mentioned my wife earlier. She has been a rock for me. She's been the one when I probably have been the most challenged about my future and where I'm going. She's been there to support me and to lift me up when things get rough. So yeah, surround yourself with good people, whether that's your team, whether that's your friends, your family. You know, believe in yourself, but there's going to be times when you don't, and that's when you're going to need people to support you. And to have that support network is really, really important, no matter what you do, whether you're an artist or whether you're in the business or whatever. I think that is definitely key.
So artists listening to this, a key theme in this is courage, and it's this idea that in addition to having a meaningful team, you also need to have courage and belief in yourself. And the whole idea of the imposter syndrome and us not always feeling like we're where we need to be, it's consistent with everyone regardless of what level you're at. And I think that if you can take a couple of things away, one of them is that your belief in yourself is going to ultimately be what drives your career. Your team is going to ultimately be what drives your career, but also going inward and trusting your instincts. I think that's something that Allan's also spoken about amazingly, is also at the core of it. Allan, I want to just thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today, for taking the time to leave us with not only inspiration, but a lot of key lessons that we can all benefit from as we are in this unprecedented time. And on behalf of Music Canada, on behalf of Connect Music Licensing, just thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much, Dominique, and to all the artists, good luck in your journey out there. It's an incredible industry, business to be part of, and we don't exist without you. So thanks for making music and giving your words and your music to this world.